Good evening. This is iHealth Radio. This is Hurricane H live in another episode of Sales World. Today we'll be talking about probing features, benefits, and tie downs. And we'll be live also in a second on our health channel, live feed video. So if you're listening in, you can also watch at www.theihealthchannel.com. Well, again, hello, everyone. Good evening. Hurricane H here, the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio. Another episode of Sales World. The first one was World Sales, which was just the introduction of sales in general, from my perspective and the iHealth channel perspective. Today is just another continuation of the previous topics, and it's really as we started going through step by step what those vital and really core steps and skills that are needed to get into a presentation to get leads, to get the business, to generate business, to organize and all the stuff. So we've talked about a couple of things prior. And today we're just going to have the next, phase in the process of sales. And today's episode is actually about probing, needs assessments, as well as features and benefits, and of course the tie down. And that's actually where a lot of the stuff happens within the presentation. But before I get started with all that and, with the content of this episode and share with you a little bit of, the sales techniques here, I just want to first of all hope that everybody is doing well out there with all the, the coronavirus out there and the restrictions and the limitations and the quarantine at home or the shelter at home policy and procedure that's in place in the law. If you guys are, safe, that's the most important piece of it. That's the most important, aspect of things. We, again, from this forum to you, stay safe, stay healthy, and, if you don't have to go out there, don't. If you need to go out there for whatever reason, just be careful. Follow the actual, 5. Make sure that you wash your hands, stay away 6 feet from any other person. Social distancing, that kind of thing. And if you check yourself, fever, things like that, make sure if there is any reason for you to doubt that you have potentially the infection, make sure you call your provider and ultimately make an appointment, or at least let them know in advance. If you're going to isolate yourself at home, make sure you are in a room that is prepared for you, and anybody else in the house is kind of like interacting with you in the safest potential way. And hopefully none of you guys watching me here would have to endure any of this. But again, just a quick advice and a quick reminder rather than advice. Everybody is talking about this everywhere, so but I just wanted to just start with that because that's really what's hot right now everywhere. And that being said, we'll get started with our episode today and our session. And as I stated, today it's Sales World. We're going to talk about probing and assessments or need assessments, and then we'll go into features and benefits and define all those things, how they work together, and how they really impact your sales pitch and the outcome of your sales transaction. Now again, this is the iHealth channel. We're going to talk about different topics. I have some programs that are on hold because of the restrictions, and a lot of businesses are closed, a lot of providers are closed. So I had some sessions that are planned with providers and other services that I'd like to bring to you guys. But in the meantime, we'll continue with Sales World. We'll do MCO, we'll do leadership tomorrow, and throughout the week we'll do different sessions, and then I'll plug in other things. And I'm just about ready to get some guests over from remotely, so this way we can have additional topics. And like I said, we have multiple series or different series and talk shows that have different themes. And so we'll have health economics, we have Organica, we have the Fit and Fab. By the way, that's ongoing every morning, Monday to Friday. Please feel free to jump in at 10 o'clock and you guys can watch live, fitness kickboxing. So if you're home bored and you want to get some action going and, break a sweat, that's a good place to be. Check us out on the iHealth channel live if you have the Box TV, or if you have Roku, or if you have the actual Amazon Fire Stick, you can download, even Twitch, you can download, the iHealth channel app in there. You can see the logo, and then hopefully you'll be able to just catch it, and of course get ready, if you have a little space, just stick in front of the computer, the camera, and start getting some workout. That being said, going back to our, piece right now. So we talked the other day on the previous chapter or previous session about the importance of breaking the ice, credibility, and how to really get that person to get comfortable with you, know who you are, who you're working for, and really build a trust factor with there. And so now ultimately we got that done. So we're down to become an expert at it. We spend our time, we get to know them, they know they can see, clear with us. They're not really feeling otherwise about us that's in a negative way, in the shape or another. So now what's next, right? So okay, we're friends, we're having a good time, maybe even having a cup of coffee or tea, whatever the case may be. But now we're talking, and so now you start basically presenting, right? And before you present, you do want to actually get to know your folks. And I did say last time, when I do interviews, I ask people to present things such as pens, phones, what products they sell. I don't care if they sell telecom, they sell TVs, they sell retail, they sell insurance. They present me what their products from a different industry or a different plan. And most of the people I stated failed because they just go straight to the kill. And I mentioned that where they start really building into the actual presentation. But first step is you have to build credibility, obviously, and break the ice. And the next one is not just that. Now we have to get to know them more. Credibility is good. That's just like, conversational, get to ease in and get, comfortable with them. They get comfortable with you. But that ties right into the next step, which is, getting an assessment. Now I mentioned the last time about surveying, and I gave an example of timeshare, how they position people, they sit you on a table, and they start working with you. But really, what you need to be doing at this stage, once you get past that credibility and breaking the ice and building rapport, giving you brand name and all that stuff. Now you go straight to the main element of understanding their needs, because at the end of the day, if you're a good salesperson out there, I don't care what you sell. It is not about what you sell in. Yes, some products sell themselves, and some product, out there because ultimately it's a business need, and but it's that particular individual in front of you or those folks in front of you. You need to establish the need for it. I mean, there's the wants and the needs, right? I mean, a need is something that you really, really have to have, and a want is like I want something, but I don't need it immediately. It's not like the end of the world if I don't have it. So again, you want to establish the difference between wants and needs. You want to ask the right questions, and get to actually really, really, really tie in all that stuff, and then start breaking it down, the benefits to them. And we'll go through the benefits step by step, and what it means, how to define them, what's the difference between actually a benefit and actual feature of the benefit, and then how to tie down to prepare for the close. And so one of the main things that you do when you're assessing is you have to basically frame the presentation, frame or pre-frame. And as you assess, you basically you set the expectations, and then now you start asking the right questions. And asking the right questions has to be done in a format that's going to give you more. Now, in some presentations, in some areas, or some trainings, in some companies, they do give you a tool to use in order for you to get to know people. And in other places, they don't. They train you to do this, and you're out there, you got to do what you got to do. Once you're out there, you just basically make things happen. So how do you do that? You're asking questions, but do you really just like, how you doing today? I'm good. All right? You don't want to ask close-ended questions. You don't want to ask a question that the answer will be yes or no, because some maybe you might need to do that just to to get like a direct answer, but really it's a conversational thing. So if you're selling vacation homes, and I'm going to stick a little way just outside of my comfort zone here in terms of the insurance and the health sales. But really, if you're doing that, you want to ask about their habit, their travel habits. What do they like? What kind of format? How often they travel? Things like that. You need to know their actual trends. What ticks, what works for them, because you can sell them the world, but if it's not really for them, it's not going to happen, right? Like again. Every single step of the sales presentation, every single step of the whole selling process is just as vital as the other. One is it's just like a chain. If you skip one, basically the connection is done. If it's like also a wire, you clip it somewhere, there is no connection. Then there's no actual, feed. So that's not going to help you. But really, this is where you have to do a couple of things. One is asking a lot of questions. Two, listening a lot. And it is a perception that salespeople talk a lot, and I often get that, I talk a lot. Thus, I'm here and I'm in front of a camera. But really, all of us salespeople, tend to actually be talkative, right? We just, speak. We love to talk. We just chat. We chatterboxes. All right. However, the concept is, you actually have to ask the questions and then listen. You hear and listen. It's a combination of both. You can hear things, but not listening deep, to what the content and the meaning of what they're really getting through. Pay attention to details, but then it's like really you have to dig in. You got to find more. You got to probe. That's what we use the word probing. Needs assessment is really what their need is from you. And as we talk about insurance, we're going to talk about, insurance, in general, why people need it. In the previous, series, which is the MCO world, for those of you who are not, who have not caught up to that particular series, it's the world of managed care organizations, but which is ties into the insurance world. And then we talked about what insurance is, about the ability to actually it's a risk type of agreement, and there's a loss and preventative format where somebody an insurer is going to pay you for services that you might need to prevent a loss or in the event of some sort of financial loss. Anyways, today is not the topic we're defining the insurance piece, but if people need it for a lot of reasons, depending where you live, first of all, we all need some insurances by default because it's the law. Car insurance, for example, you have to have. You cannot say, I don't have car insurance. You can't drive. So period and out. Home insurance, it's something you have to have because, especially if you buy, through a bank and you have a mortgage, you need insurance. If you're, basically living in the United States, not so much, those of you who are listening live on the radio all over the world, you might say, well, we don't care. We have, social health care type and insurance we don't need. But in the U.S., if you don't have a social component, based on age or income and resources, you basically you have to pay for your insurance. And if you're not working and the employer does not provide you with adequate insurance or credible, insurance levels, then you do need to purchase them. So insurance is something you have to live with because when you go to a doctor's, it's going to cost you. You go to the hospital, it's going to cost you. So insurance is almost like a necessary evil as well as we talked about the first time in sales. It's something that now it's a process that everybody has to go through, and it's also a needed aspect of life. But there are other insurances that we might not need. Sometimes it's good to have. People do long-term insurance. People do additional insurance for property. They insure their homes for additional things. Hurricane insurance, that. There's other pieces that you get to buy. There's business insurance, as we said. There's fire insurance. So all these are insurances. But really, there are needs. And sometimes while the need is there, there's also the competition and why you versus the other competition, why you versus the other agent are going to make a difference. But really, if you cannot highlight the need and if you cannot really see what their needs are, you cannot tailor the product that you're going to give them, especially in our world of healthcare and insurance producing and sales agents in the insurance world in general. You want to assess what the need is. So whether you're talking to an individual in the Medicare or you're talking to someone who doesn't have insurance and want to see what product you're going to help them with in the ACA, which is I guess the Obamacare type of insurance group. If somebody is requiring or requesting some sort of an insurance from you, even in the commercial world, as an individual family, you want to assess, what the needs are, what do they need really, what they don't need, how much do they, they're willing to offer, how, to pay, how much are they trying to keep their premium at, are they willing to take a high deductible, a high, premium versus a high deductible, whatever the case case may be. You want to make sure that you know all these things about them. Also, sometimes, while it is very, very, in some insurance, aspects, you can ask the direct questions about medical stuff because, it's commercial, they're paying for it, so there's always going to be underwriting and there's going to be some medical stuff that they need to go through. But in some of the government programs, as we stated, Medicare, Medicaid, things like that, there's no cherry picking, there is no medical, questioning or asking or assessments. We don't do that. We can't do that by law. And so everybody's qualified based on the qualifiers that are actually determined by the government. So we want to make sure that we establish these things. We ask, and the more we ask, the more we know. You can't possibly just go in there, boom, and straight again to the kill. You need to know your customer. We already kind of established the idea of credibility, who they are, what they're looking for in terms of relationship with you and stuff. But now, what do they really want from the product? Now, the fact that you're in their home and the fact that in front of you, there is some sort of interest. We established that, otherwise they'd be not talking to you at this point. But now you want to make sure that you zone in, you actually zoom in, you actually hone in. You want to really focus and dissect exactly all the elements that they need. So now, when you give them a product, because some of us may have 10, 15 products to offer our one shot. And we don't know where do we want to process these folks and where we're going to put them and place them in what program do we want to really give them the most bang for their buck. But if to do that, we need to actually have the information. And you don't get that information without asking the right questions. And that is very important. And so again, one of the very, very best ways to actually ask questions is always open-ended. So tell me a little bit about, your health needs right now. And as simple as that. Is there anything specific that you're looking for? Is it for you, for your family? It's a conversational, so when you ask that question, it's going to be open into a discussion. You don't want to be, how old are you? I'm 20. That's it. How old are you? I'm 60. Do you live here? Yes. No. Again, these are dumb questions. But the fact of the matter is, you don't want questions that are that direct, unless it's really just something that you take in as a quick question. How often do you travel? 3 times a year. How often do you see doctors? Twice a year. Those can be something that is, close-ended type. But really, to get more about them is asking the questions. In the Medicare world, we ask well, what is it that you're looking from your health plan? That's a very long question, and actually a short question, but a long, we can talk about that in an hour. If that question was asked to me right now, I'd be like, well, there's a lot of things I need from my health plan. Well, first of all, I like this, to have an agent that's going to be great and that's going to help me, understand what stuff and asking the right questions and really caring about what my next move is and how I'm going to be faring out after I enroll in this particular plan. I want also a company that's going to be there for me if I need them and not just sign me up and then, drop me to the curb at the first, opportunity they have because they don't want to pay a bill. I want a company that's going to be actually really holding my hands and guiding me and giving me the best care. I want a company that has the best network. And that can go on and on and on. So as it sounds, it's like, again, an open-ended question is great. And now as they actually answering these questions, you should be taking notes because you want to be able, whether it's mental notes or written note or you put them on a recorder, but that's how you do it. Some, again, like I said, some sales structures that give you an actual, assessment sheet. And then you basically start, writing things down and based on each question, do it. We do it also in interviews, right? Sometimes you interview people and your HR department will give you a list of things that you ask. And you want to have the stars and, they have to have 3 stars or whatever. And you got to make sure that they answer the question and then they don't give you a fluff answer. You want to get more details. They say, well, I'm a great, people person. Okay, well, what does that mean, right? So you want to deep dive. You listen. But if you're not listening, first of all, they tell you that you're just going to move on to the next one. This is not a run. This is not a rush. You do not want to do a race, and again, as I said, the last time, a fly-by, it's not a quick thing here. You want to take your time. You're there to help them. And when you help them correctly, when you listen correctly, you're not going to put them in the wrong place. I often give examples about, in trainings, if you go to a car dealer's lot and you walk right there and you have there's 2 types of salespeople, as we said, the ones that are really going to be your true sales folks that are going to help you and guide you and understand your needs, and the ones that are just going to want to sell something. And because they're desperate, whatever quotas, commission is the end of the month, whatever the case may be, and they'll go right there. Oh, I got it. They look at you, they assess you, they already determine what car you're going to drive. And without asking a question. Oh, let me show you these 2 cars. Well, next thing they go, they show you like a 2-door car, like a coupe. And you have a family of 7 people. You need a minivan. They just didn't ask the question, and until like I mean, it's a great. I love the car. And they show you, they start pitching. They're spending 15, 20 minutes telling you about this car. Oh, it's good. It goes from 0 to 60 miles in 4 seconds. I don't really care. That's not going to help me. What I need is a vehicle that can carry my whole family and a lot of luggage when I go on vacation, right? So that's just an example, but really it's something to have to understand, and keep in your mind. You want to make sure that you ask them about what their exact needs are, today, in a couple of years, and so on and so forth. If it's a membership, if it's some sort of service or product that you're going to have for a long term, you want to make sure that what is it that you're going to use for. I'll give you an example. When I started the studio, I was looking at cameras, and I did my homework. I went to different places. I asked questions. Which camera does this? Which camera works with this software? Which camera does the other stuff? Which one gives you a better angle? Blah, blah, blah. And, and I started asking. Some of these folks were actually very helpful. I actually met some great guys that really gave me a lot of guidance as to what is the best, how it works. I was looking at a GoPro for my ongoing action in the streets, and we were talking about which one does what and how does it work, what's the features, what's this, and then as we break down the benefits and the features right now in the few, we'll understand those. But really, they ask the questions, I give them all the answers, everything that I need, and that's the other thing. Sometimes they may not know what they really need, and they know they have something that they want, and sometimes you also were the one that triggered the fact that they want to sit down with you, because remember we said before, you want to be in sales, you want to be the one that you want to at least give them the opportunity to sit down with you and tell them and pitch them what you have. But now you are great, you convince them, you're in front of them, but like how you take that to the next level, you want to now you really bring it out stuff. And we always joke about some salespeople, I can sell ice to Eskimos, stuff like that. Well, it's a similar concept. We pride ourselves that we're good at what we do, but at the same time, we want to make sure that when we deliver, these things, and if consumers are watching this program, for you guys, please understand that a good agent is here to help you. A good salesperson is here to help you. They want to assess your questions. They're not asking questions because they want to, write a book and stuff. No, they're actually asking questions because the more they know about what you need and, differentiate something that is a want versus something that is pure need, then they can give you the best potential, product that is going to match you. Whether it's a car, whether it's a, it's a radio, it's a computer. Sometimes even you buy a computer. What do you need in a computer? You need, speed. You need gigs. You need, memory. You need, compatibility with Google. Whatever the case may be. You want, different things in your computer. You want a camera. You want some sort of speaker, concept. You want to do just streaming. The more they know, the more they can guide you. What price range? All those things are important. Would you settle for this versus this? So the more I ask, the more I'm solid and I can help you really get the best that you can get. That's one. And again, going back to that timeshare concept before, when we did the surveys, it's really asking the questions. Well, do you like to travel? Yes, I love to travel. Well, so how often do you go? What kind of places you like to go to? Open-ended. And they go on and on. I love to do this. I love to do this. So what kind of, accommodations do you look for? Blah, blah, blah. So again, these are different industries, different types of, products and services. But at the end of the day, they all have similarities and they have similar structures, when it comes to sales. And so as we do this, we need to be clear as we are in front of our customers and clients is to really inquire, probe, do a lot of needs assessments, a lot of probing and listening, asking the right question, open-ended, limit the close-ended only if needed, and really listen to what they say. Listen to what they say. Because some of those things also are going to be triggers for later on. Because as you're talking and something, comes up later, and that's, a good example again in the timeshare, and it's a very simple thing. You tell these people, like, what do you do, how long do you travel, where do you travel, blah, blah, blah. They say, I like to travel, I go, this, here, there, 1 week here, 1 week there, I do like 4 times a year. Okay, then now you get to the bottom line and you're ready to close, and they say, well, I'm not sure. It's like, well, ma'am, sir, didn't you just tell me that you did this and we travel a lot and you do that 4 times a year and you spend $5,000 a year minimum? And I'm telling you, you can spend $1,000 today, for the year and to get, something like this. And so now what you actually asked for in the beginning, all that needs assessment, all that process that you've done in place was there for you to help you in the close, but really to show them and highlight, because sometimes really the only thing that should stop someone from really closing with you is cost. If you have everything, and that's really sometimes a question I ask, if I can give you everything that you need today, the way you like it, the way you need it, would I gain your, business today and welcome you to our family? Simple question. And I ask that question just to get their comfort zone as we're, asking, because I do know that at the end of the day, I'm going to have the product for them. But I want them to actually go beyond that. And the only thing that can stop me at the end, literally, would probably be financial. If there is a need for financiers, it's a premium for insurance, if you're doing commercial. If you're selling a car, it's that payment. If you're selling a home, it's whatever. So when you get to that bottom line is the cost. How do we get to that cost? And if the cost is the only thing, there's usually plans and different financing and things like that can happen with any type of sales. And so, but before you get to the cost and the price, and most of us will probably, any presentation, we're like, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, don't worry, take it easy. We'll get there. Allow me to go through the presentation. I will definitely get you there. Don't worry, if this is not for you, if you cannot afford this, we're not going to close this. I'm not going to put you on a plan that you're not going to be happy with, right? So, but then that's also important for me to know. If they say, well, cost is important, then I know as I look at my products, especially in the insurance world, at least in the Medicare products, and there are premiums and deductibles and copays and co-insurances. I want to see how we can. I want to see what else I can do for them. Are they qualify for programs that can subsidize some of their, Part D in the Medicare, or some of their, just co-insurances and things like that. If they're not choosing a MedSup policy in the Medicare space. So again, it depends. Whatever industry you're in, cost is going to be one of the biggest factors. But you want to ask about every single thing and every single item that they're looking for from whatever that transaction is. Usually they want satisfaction and good customer care, an actual delivery on the promise. Whatever you deliver, whatever you promise them and you sell them, that is actually happening. They tell you one thing and then all of a sudden something totally different is what you receive. You ask for this color, they give you a different color. You ask for this package, they give you a wrong plan. We don't want to do that. So we want to listen. We want to make sure. And there's processes as we go to the next steps of sales or of the actual presentation. What do we do at the end of every presentation to avoid any mishaps and things like that? But now we're asking questions. We are going really deep dive with them. We're asking, really, all the pertinent, pieces that will benefit them eventually, and will give me the actual tools to help them and really tailor, as I would say the word tailor, the actual product that is the best fit for them or service that is best for them. So even when you look at programs, sometimes they have different packages and you want to compare, and they tell you compare these products to see which one is really going to do it. Sometimes you don't need this product, not at this stage. Maybe I will need it 2 years from now, maybe a couple of months later. Whatever the case may be, it's a subscription. Do I need a subscription? I can only do like 100 people right now. I'm not going to pay for a program that's requiring 1,000 people because I'm not there yet. So those are decisions that they will have to make, and your customers will have to make. And if you're a customer, these are things you have to look for when you're talking to your agent. You need to give them as much information that is going to help them, really inform the knowledge and tailor the products that they have and services for you. So ultimately, you get the best deal. You get the best value. You get the best benefits. You get the best service and everything else that you want. And then, of course, you want to hold them responsible for it and make sure that also you take some notes and, make sure you take documentation. And we'll get to those details at the end of, the next stages when we go to the next episodes and close and beyond the close and things like that. But so, now you're listening, you're asking the questions, you go in step by step. Every question is valuable, and the more you ask, the more and sometimes you can pose and ask them and allow them to give you the answer. That's the other thing. You don't ask questions and move to the next one. Ask the questions, pose, allow them to talk, take notes, and then also and then you can also break the question. So say, well, I like a plan that's going to really, really allow me to go to different doctors. Well, let me ask you a question. So now you go back, another question. So you can deep more. You can, because they're going to give you the answer, but maybe that's not really, you're not there yet. So you want to, break that down further to science, to an actual, you go from macro to micro, and you drop it down to where you focus more on what that means. So as you get closer to that, and as you get the right feedback, that's when you actually really give them the best, product for them. So when they say, well, I want a product that allows me to go to a lot of doctors or to any doctors I want, now does that mean they want an actual PPO, or is it an HMO that has a good network, or is it an actual HMO with a point of service type of option? This is on the Medicare side. If it's a commercial plan, is it an actual open network type of situation? Is it still an HMO? What plan? So those are the things, and you want to ask them, well, what are you really asking for? What is that actually you're looking for? Because here's what I ask people in our world of Medicare sales. I say, if all your doctors are in, if your medication is covered and at the cost and the tiers that you're comfortable with, and I can give you better value and less cost and everything is, equal, would you consider becoming part of our family? And really that's what people are looking for. They want to, have, especially in the Medicare world space, these are folks that might have a relationship, and we talked about this when we talked a little bit on the senior health. They have a relationship with their doctors, and we talked also on the MCO session. They have a relationship with their doctors. They're not willing to make a move. They want to be able to actually go to their doctor. They want to have, or a couple of doctors that they might have. Some of these folks may have specialties, cardio, diabetic type of situations, and things like that they have to maintain in beyond the actual primary care physician. And then sometimes they have drugs that is, like really vital for them. Without those drugs, they will not live. They will not be healthy. So we need to make sure that we actually have those things for them. So these relationships, these things are important. So we want to ask those questions. And again, while we cannot in the Medicare space really ask medical, clinical questions, but one of the things we do, as I said before, when we're talking about pre-framing and making sure that you actually get the scope of appointment, and you understand that before you go to a presentation, you do all that permission to contact and the documentation to what we're going to discuss with a senior. We are asked about what products, what providers they have, what their medications, and so on and so forth before you get into the deep dive. So assuming that you did that correctly and you're here, you already know that. But sometimes they might not give you all the information up front, in when you meet them the first time, but now you're actually really discussing things with them. So at this point, you want to break it down. And you break it down to a science, and you ask and deep dive and deep dive and deep dive. And the more you get, from them, the more it's going to help you structure, the final package for them. And give them a package that's going to make the most sense for them financially, value-wise, and everything else that they need. And you don't want to sell them the fluff. You can tell them if you want additional stuff, well, we have options. Or you don't have to do it now, but you can do this later. You can upgrade later. So you give them the options, but you do not like them because that makes sense for you. You don't sell them what's good for you because you're going to make maybe a $10 more on your commission. No, you want to sell a consumer what's good for them. Don't worry about that extra, piece, because that's going to come if they're happy with you. That's going to come if they're actually pleased with your performance and they're happy with your, aftermath, that you really deliver the goods. And when they become, your member or they become your client, everything that you promised them is going to happen. That's really what you're selling. So don't. Some people go for that quick kill and they just want to get the max up front. But you get the max up front and you might not get anything because you might lose all that. So don't do that. All right, it's not all in. All right, you want to make sure that you actually give them what's in it for them. What's going to work for them the best at the time that you're planning, this with them. And then you can ask them, what would you need in the future? How can I help you in the future? Would you consider doing this in the future? And then remember what we said, you're going to keep that relationship ongoing. So therefore, even after the fact, after enrolling, they're going to be your friends, right? And if they're going to be your friends and they're going to work with you for the long term, guess what? You're going to be there for them, and you can always help them at a later time, no matter what. And if they need something, they know to call you because your card's going to be on their fridge. Your card's going to be in their portfolio, in their wallet. You're going to be with them. They're going to have your number saved in their phone. Your number is going to be in their family and their caregivers. So do the right thing. Then consumers, that's what you're looking for. That's the type of agent and salesperson that you want to actually have a good relationship with. And if this is not happening the way that I'm stating to you, you're taking a chance. I'm not going to say that it might not work, but I can tell you, based on experience, if it's even for the salespeople, I say it, if it's the interaction is not right and the whole thing is not really happening, and you feel it wrong, it's not going to be good. It's going to drop eventually. It's not something you want to proceed with. Just stop it there. Do it right, or not do it. Period. So that's important. So now that you ask the right questions, you ask everything you want, you get all the good stuff that you're looking for from these folks, and now you have the tools to work with. Now you go through your presentation. Now you go into the deep dive. So you turn your portfolio to them. If it's a presentation binder, you flip that to them. Either you sit side by side or in front of them, you turn them, but you're educating them now. So you show them your products. Or if you have something that you're going to show them, if you're going to do a walkthrough somewhere, whatever the case may be. Now you break it down. I'll give you an example. Even in real estate sales, totally different type of sales. I've seen this when people take folks to do a tour in a house to show them a house, and they're going, they just let the families walk around through the house. They just stand there and wait. Well, everybody knows what a kitchen looks like. Everybody knows what a bathroom looks like. Everybody knows what a bedroom looks like. So there is nothing special about that particular presentation. So if you're not guiding the presentation, if you're not working the presentation, you're not really doing anything. All right. Anybody can do that themselves. Actually, if you give them a key, they go in and just check the house and see whether it's worth it for them or not. But a good salesperson, a good agent, a good client-driven person, would actually go beyond that. They will go and really give them a little bit of imagery and a scenic view of that particular space. If we go into the kitchen, I'm gonna start visualizing this stuff for them. Like, imagine you're gonna put your coffee pot there and you have this thing and you guys have your nice little hors d'oeuvres here when you have your guests over and start doing stuff. You have a nice little lighting things. You're gonna start spruce it up. Okay. You go to the living room. Like, imagine yourselves having a good time here with a family. Valentine's Day, whatever the case may be. But now you're gonna start doing a little bit more. Imagine your kids playing in this room and having a good time. The fireplace, a nice little snowy day. You're chilling. So you're gonna give them a descriptive. You're gonna get them to imagine stuff. So they start falling in love with it. That's the difference between a real a true born salesperson and how they get to you and how to make it. But from a consumer perspective, that's what you want. You want these people to help you form those ideas, form those decisions. And they're not really influencing you to a degree, because at the end the decision is always yours, but they just highlight things that you might not think about. And that's the difference. So again, same thing. If you're doing a presentation sales, kit type of format. So if you have a laptop, a tablet, or a binder, and you're going flipping page by page, or back in the days we used to have these pull-ups that you put on the table and you show them your presentation just like on pages, and on sheets that are glued in. So at the bottom line is you want to go step by step. Now you start really highlighting the actual. You do the pre-qualified stuff like that just to make sure that you kind of capitalize on some of the stuff we talked before. And then now you start into the benefits. Now let's define benefits and features. Most of the people think, they're the same. So for example, in our business, we say, benefit package. Well, it is a benefit package, but really it's features, that are actually on the package, not what the benefits are. See, a benefit is, a feature is an attribute of a particular, service or a particular, designed element that I'm going to give you. A car, for example, has a lot of features, but the features are there, but what's their benefit to you? How does that, really work with you? How does that really meet your needs? Having a lane departure, may not really work for somebody that is new driving. Simple fact, if they're driving and that thing's rolled them, they're going to panic, they probably just hit a car. See? So that may be not a feature, and the feature is there, but the benefit may not be really the best for that particular person and client. So that's just an example. For example, in our world of Medicare space, if you talk about, a vision benefit, so really the feature is you're going to get glasses and you have $120, or $200 worth of, glass, frames, whatever, plus lenses, all that stuff. But what it means to you now, I see you wear glasses. Now you actually have, an annual allowance towards your stuff. So now you can, view your stuff better. It will help your vision. It will make sure that, your vision stays healthier for a longer time. So that's really what the benefit, what it means for you, what it will do to benefit you is really. So feature is the attribute, is really what we highlight in our products. But really what it does, what it means for you is what really the benefit. So what is that benefit from that featured element? So it's a featured element, but the benefit of it is really what actually people are buying, and we need to highlight that. So features, so we can go through the whole thing. iPhones, what is the feature on the phone? It has a lot of stuff. Camera, the camera is the best camera that exists, whatever the case may be. It has the lighting, it has the music, it has this, it has all these apps, but what's the benefit of it? What does the camera do for you if you're not even, care? If someone doesn't even know how to operate applications, would they really need an actual iPhone? What would they need there? For example, in the senior market, they have these special phones that are actually big, bold, with, bulky numbers and things like that. Now, most of the young folks may not even care about that, but for a senior person, those are features for them, and the benefit is now they can actually, see those numbers big and bold. It's going to help them. They don't have to go crazy, with a magnifying glass to see what the number is, or to read their screens. That's kind of like the concept here. So features, and then benefits. And the more you break down the benefits, the more they're going to understand what's that means for them, and they get excited about it. But we're not lying. We're not just fluffing stuff. It really has to mean it. If you're going to tell it, it has to mean it. Okay, it has to be exactly that. And then, even if you go, the other thing is you don't want to go straight from one element to the other. You want to go one benefit at a time, one feature and one benefit, and then close that in its own form. So how it goes is like, so, sir, ma'am, now I'm going to give you an example of the Medicare space. If, you get, your over-the-counter benefit. So you're going to get $100 a month worth over-the-counter items that you can go and participate in pharmacy and get, and it's on the house, and it's, whatever, $100 a month, and every month you have to go back and you get another $100, and get whatever items you want from the over-the-counter product, which is everything that is not prescription, right? And of course, they have to be approved and things like that. We're not talking about the details. This is just an example. But as I talk about that, I will be talking about, what it was, and then what it means to you now. If you're going to get toothpaste, you're going to get all the other stuff that otherwise you may not have to pay for, and now you can save some money. So that's really what it means to you. That's the benefit for you. So we're going to give you a featured element, of our package, our offering. But really, what the benefit for you is save some money, get access to other items that otherwise, may be a lot more, expensive for you somewhere else, and save some money in your pocket, which you can use, to go to the gym and do other things, right? So that's it. How does that sound to you? Sounds good, right? So that's a tie down. So now, and the reason we do this is a pause. I want to make sure that I get, sounds great. I want to see that smile. Oh my God, really? I can get that? Yeah. How does it really? Sounds great. Yeah, of course. I told you that's a great thing. And so now you're interacting with them, and you can see their eyes go bigger, and they're smiling, they're happy, they're excited, and you need that. Because now you know because now at that point, if there's a question that is lingering, and we're going to talk about objections and how to handle objections, if there's any questions that is unanswered there, it can come up there and you can highlight it again. We can break it down. Sometimes, and again, just a preview to objections, usually an objection is it's an unanswered question or unhandled question or unclear element in the process that you have to actually remove. There's a cloud, you got to remove it. So we'll talk deep dive there later on at a different session. But really today is, we break down the feature of an actual offering or a benefit, structure package, and then what the benefits, the real benefits to them, whether it's saving them money, giving more value, it's giving them additional access, whatever the case may be. And also, if that's really something, for example, someone that has, 20/20 vision, highlighting that particular benefit is that feature of our package, and trying to give them what the benefit for their eyes is not going to mean anything to them. See, that's an example of a no-no that is the opposite side. So again, not all the features in a package are going to be for everyone. There is something for everyone. Some people may need the whole package. Some people may need some elements in the package. Someone that has maybe dentures, so they're probably going to look for a comprehensive, dental package, element there. Someone that has prescription drugs, they don't care about anything else. They want to make sure that their prescription is covered. So you want to go there. So again, when you highlight, you still have to present all the actual features of any portfolio that you are presenting. However, when you highlight the benefit, you still got to tell them what the benefits are. But really, are these the ones that are going to pitch and make the final close? No. You want to make sure, first of all, you go over everything that is pertinent to them. And that's why you ask the questions first, right? That's why you do the assessments. That's why you ask all the right, open-ended, and listen to what the answers are and what they're looking for. When you get all that, then you know exactly where you actually have to, really concentrate your efforts and show them really the true value of what you have to offer. And also that will give you the determining factors of which plans, if you're selling multiple plans, that you're going to pick. And then, so you have 15 plans. Now you're down to 3 plans that actually have all the things that they've asked about or they're looking for. Now you move the other stuff. So now our presentation goes to these things. And then I'm going to compare them. Say, well, this plan gives you this. This is the price. This is the value. This is the added value. Blah, 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 and you go this one. And then now you allow them to make a choice. So which one of these, plans is going to be the best, choice for you? Which one do you think is going to work for you? Now, I can give you my opinion, but I'd like to hear from you first. And that's how you present it. So you actually always have to give them the final decision. You don't make the decision for people. They make the decision for themselves. You give them the tools and the information so they can make the right decision themselves. Okay, that's important. So consumers, that's what you're looking for as well. So now, we go through the features,
and highlight the benefits, and we tie down. For every one of those, we stop. How does that sound? Is it great? Does it sound good for you? Is that something that will be interesting for you? Is that something that if you have it, you will be happy with our plan and you would join our family today? So these are questions to really different ends, different angles to try to get that actual, yes. You want them to say yes. You want them to keep saying yes, yes, yes. So every time you tie them down, how does that sound? Good? Great, excellent. So think about it. If you're talking about 15 elements, and features that you're going to highlight and show the benefits of to them, and each one of them they say yes, 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 all yeses. What are the odds of them saying no at the end when you're ready to close? The odds will be less. That will be very, very to your favor, right? And if they start saying no up front, you're already in a no zone. So now we have to do a whole different work, to turn these things and maybe even stop this presentation because maybe you're not going anywhere. So you want to make sure you do features, you highlight the benefits, you stop and you ask, how does that sound? Is this something that can, work for you? Is this something you can use? Is this something that makes sense for you? Is it good? Can we move on? And once you get that thumbs up, yes, let's go to the next one. Now you're on the next stage. So now you break down the other benefits, and then the other benefits, and then the other benefit. And ultimately, as you do this, it's going to give you a little bit more of a potential, excitement. Because now you're like really, really moving step by step towards the actual point where, and sometimes here, and again, another preview, when you're in this particular space and you are getting a lot of good vibe and a lot of excitement, you're also excited and you already know what you're doing. They're very happy because really you're actually taking the time to really work their needs, and they can see that. People are very clear when somebody is genuine, as I said before, and somebody is honest and really caring. Because if you were not caring, all this stuff may not happen. You'll be like, all right, and that's what I said the other day is, some people will probably skip beats because they're not comfortable about a particular benefit and they're not sure if that's going to be the benefit that's going to kill the deal, whatever. So they kind of like, oh, so you got this, but don't have to worry about it. And then they move on. They basically skip things or not really, go deep dive because the more that's going to be the sour thing where people are going to start like, well, I'm not sure. I don't like it. And so at that point, you're going to have these problems. But if you're doing it this way, again, everything I said to this point from the first episode to today, step by step, if you applied all these things, I don't care what sales unit you're in, what sales industry, what products and services you sell, and I'm talking about this is like direct consumer stuff. And some of these things, and we'll have a section just about telesales. But when you're talking about with individuals, and again, I keep it within the health environment. That's why I always refer to Medicare sales, and that's where really the sales and some commercial aspects of it. But really, these are the same thing that you use for anything. I've used the same techniques, and over the years between different industries and different types of sales, I've actually mastered these things, or at least learned to actually put them together in a good, format and help myself when I present to folks, And like I said, I am always willing to walk away from a sale if it's not going to help them and benefit them. Because, like I said, there's no reason for me to sell somebody that is, and pitch them, because I said a true salesperson never sells. You highlight, you allow them to actually buy. The products, if they're good, and if you can bring them the product value and you show it to them, they will sell it. Because ultimately, now, if you're selling something that you're not even convinced about, you're probably going to fail. And you're probably just going to have a lot of people that are not happy with you. So, but if you really care and you do the right thing, you'll be successful, no doubt. You will have the best, outcomes every time. And again, like I said, closing ratios and all that stuff, that's great. There's a lot of metrics and performance things that we in the management and leadership would actually put into our teams. And I've had them myself when I was actually in the startup days, in the ranks. It doesn't matter. These things, it never fazed me. My bosses I didn't care what they said. I know what my goals were. I didn't go with the company goal. I go with how many people I'm going to help today. And as I help a lot of people today, I'm going to be helping myself ultimately. And the best helping, piece of it is, besides the financial, is the satisfaction that I just did a good and the right thing by people. And remember, you want to be the best thing that happened to these people. Whatever you're selling to them, whether it's a car, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether the insurance policy, whether it's a vacation, whether at home, whatever you're selling them, a computer. If you're going to sell them a computer, that computer better be good. make sure that they're not really displeased. Because here's what happens. I do this all the time. Besides complaining and going crazy and boycott, but the first thing I do is everyone I know, and I know a lot of people, I will tell them everything wrong about a place. Do not go there. That's one. Two, and everybody that's probably listening will agree to that. The other part is there is another piece to this. A lot of us, if I'm not happy with stuff, I just don't go back. So they just lost my business, lost everybody else's business, and now I'm actually really, really making my point to actually every time, don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. So that person just took away business from that particular enterprise because they just were selfish. They looked at themselves, not what the others. So a lot of businesses now even taking commissions away because to avoid that. As a matter of fact, now I was talking about cameras and stuff. So one of the stores I went to, for an actual portable camera that I was, using for the field stuff was Best Buy. And, and I asked the question, are you guys commissioned? They said, no, we're not commissioned. We just get credit for performance. But you notice the difference between places where people are commissioned versus people are not commissioned. And you can see that there's no hunger. There's no greed. They do it for the right reason, not the wrong reason. Now, again, we're in the Medicare world. We work, and most of our business has to do with commission, especially for the brokers, and even for some captive agents, they have a commission structure. But we love that and we enjoy it and we want to have as much. But again, even under our world, if you are not doing the right thing, we have disenrollments. And in one of the sessions in the MCO world, which is the Managed Care Organizations series, we want to talk about, when somebody enrolls through the process and things like that. And then what happens also when a member is dissatisfied, blah, blah, blah. And we'll talk about another session where all the different causes of what people disenroll from health plans. But really, if someone drops from a plan because you did the wrong thing or you signed them up only to be there for day two, some people will come in the first of the month, they drop before the end of the month, they haven't even used the service. They just got very angry, and what happens now, they probably called in the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services and ultimately, or the government, and basically complained about you. Now there is an actual investigation, you're involved into statements, you're involved into interviews with compliance officers, you might even have an HR issue, you might even lose your job. Not worth it. And if you're in a regular sales environment and you do that, you might also be fired or terminated because, customer satisfaction is everything. There's a lot of competition, and what differentiates a plan versus the other, what differentiates a business that sells the same product or services than other is really that touch, that personal touch. We talked about the Disney magic. It's that signature. It's that brand. It's what makes me versus the other person different. It's my style versus the other style. If I do right by you, again, I actually, in the last probably 10 years, I have changed all the structure, and the terminology for my sales divisions to, from sales representative or marketing representatives to licensed benefit consultants or licensed benefit advisors. Because I don't believe that they're really sales. They actually work in a sales frame. It's a sales division. But they actually benefit advisors. They need to be experts. They need to highlight the benefits. They need to work with people, based on their needs and provide them with the best potential, program or benefit offering package that they can get. And that's it. And they're really there to advise people, not to sell people. People will make that decision on themselves if you help them form that decision, okay? An informed and educated one, right? So that's kind of like what it is. So our job is to get them from that point, to the ultimate, like, oh, I love this, sign me up. Where do I sign? Okay, and in jokes, when I do, trainings and we do role plays and I become the actual agent, I usually, get the actual, and it's not because I'm doing the training because I'm their, lead on the department. No, it's more about really people feel, comfortable enough that, it was very clear. I made it very simple to them. You break it down to very, elemental levels where people can see it clear. There is no ambiguity. There's no cloud about it. There's no fluff. It's what you see is what you get. It's clear, crystal clear, crisp. So you give them every element. So from the copay to the actual grievance to the appeals, if this is, we're talking Medicare, to what happens next, to your card, to your welcome kit, to the next step, to the next 3 months, to your first appointment with your PCP, to your drugs, your transportation, your over-the-counter, your gym membership. Break it down. If you're selling cars, same concept. What happens now? We do this. Here's the financing. Here's how it goes. When is your next first appointment? When is this stuff? Blah, blah, blah. And it's all these industries have their own science and their own protocols, but they're almost the same. If you're in the real estate, kind of same thing. Here's your day. Next step is this, that. And the more you know, the more you have resources to help as well. And I said this before, a lot of agents, that are successful because they go beyond. They do a lot of customer care, a lot of customer service. This is customer service one-on-one. It doesn't fail. You got to do this. If you're in sales, you're in customer service. That's like one and the other are the same. It's not like they're two separate things. Many people may make the argument that it's not. In my world, it's the same thing. You're customer facing. You are in front of the customers day in, day out. You are the one that actually gets them attached to something. You get them into love your products and company and services. And if you do the wrong job, you basically just hurt that person and probably hurt that company that you work for. Don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. First of all, eventually they'll capture you. Your hierarchies will catch up to you. Your company will not be pleased. Complaints will happen, and it takes a couple of shots and maybe even one. And it's over. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So again, to wrap up, we covered the importance, credibility and all that stuff before. Today we focused a little bit on needs assessments, open-ended versus closed-ended, the power of listening, the actual, probing and really deep diving, asking the right questions, and so to get the right answers to help you form, a good presentation. Identify the products that these folks will actually be the best, that the product will be best for them. Make sure that they are the ones making the decision, and identifying each element of your offering, and then break it down to science. What is the feature, in that package? How does it benefit them? Tie down them, close them right there. I mean, it's not a close, but it's actually a pre-close. It's basically you understand that that's not going to be a problem, right? So that's really what that tie down is. You stop there to get little, pulse. The pulse is good. We're moving on, right? So that's like, and when a space shuttle goes, they have all these units, and they basically flight, communication, go, this go, all that stuff, the checks, right? So all those pre-flight checks, that's exactly what we're doing, but you're doing on the go as you step by step go into the presentation. And again, for consumers watching this program, similarly, you look at the other side of it. What I am describing is what you should be experiencing positively. If you're not, then again, this may not be the right candidate that's in front of you, or maybe you just have to push harder to get what it is. Sometimes maybe these people can be new. They may not have the expertise or the eloquency or the process or the training to get you the best. They'll get better. We all have to learn, have a, learning curve, ahead of us when we start in any pad. And, it will get there. But again, you can gauge that as a consumer. You will know if someone is true, honest, and really they mean it. Plus, you have all the tools. That's the other thing, folks. If you are presenting, you're not presenting from your brains. Now, I am talking, literally, I'm looking at nothing in front of me, the computer here. I'm actually looking at just the camera to make sure the timing is correctly in front of me. But what I mean is, sometimes you will have your presentation, and it's okay to actually go through the presentation so you can, go item by item. The person in front of you, you don't have to come up with it. It's right there. You show them bullet one, you go over bullet one, you break it down, you move on. How does it feel? How you like it? Is it good? Shall we proceed? Next. You get the thumbs up, next item. Thumbs up, next item. Thumbs up, next item. When you have a little bit of an objection there, it stops. And now we're like, wait a minute. So now we're going to handle the objection. And that being said, that concludes our timing pretty much. We got a couple minutes left. So this is basically, the next, that's a segue for the next session. We're going to skip, this particular, sequence in the sales, selling skills, process. But what we'll do is tomorrow we'll have a different session that is on the broadcast schedule, which is leadership. And in sales in general, but leadership as a whole thing. I think it's a valuable, session that we can talk about, especially for those folks that are actually in the management role and or beyond, or any type of hierarchy in the leadership roles in industries, whether it's in the health insurance industries, health provider, settings, or anything. Just leadership in general skills, things that I've learned over the years, and what makes a leader versus no leader, and things like that. But when we come back into the next, session in the selling process, we'll go right from, probing and all this, and the feature and benefit tie downs to actual, objection handling, what is an objection, and the trial closes and closing, and we get to that, and then we go from there for recap, summary, and then we'll do for like the next generate the next business, and step by step from there we'll go what happens beyond. And then also, if you're a consumer or an actual professional watching these series, that will all our series touch with each other to a degree or another. And so when we start, in the other sessions of MCU World, we will touch on these things, and always give references to membership and how it all starts. When we talk, about, the broker live, we might have to talk about some of these things, but it will be more geared to the brokers. But it's always good for consumers to also listen in to see how we do it in our world. So that gives you and sets a better expectation for you and gives you a better understanding of how it works. So again, just to give you a little bit of heads up, we're almost done, in our time frame today. So again, thank you for watching the iHealth channel and listening on iHealth Radio. This is Hurricane H, your host, and had a great time, presenting this. I'm actually very, passionate about this, and I love to share this information with you. Again, that's the objective of our mission in the radio and the station and the channel. So with that being said, stay safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow.